Hello and welcome to Patrol Gripply's Pirate Raid Concepts for LEGO Legacy Heroes Unboxed. As many of you are probably aware, we are set to get our first raids most likely sometime in September, depending if they actually release then on time or not. I think they said the patch notes should be out early to mid-September, but could always run late. But before we got our first things for that, I want to go ahead and go over some of my own ideas for possible raid battles, and this is going to be over for the pirate faction. I'm going to try to do about maybe one faction at a time, maybe combine city and collectibles because they're kind of roughly the same. I mean, collectibles don't be like its own faction really in the game. But a couple of guidelines. This is my first game I've really played like this. I played some other gacha games, but because of this, that, hero collector, tile collector, whatever you want to call it. Vastly different, I'd say, like similar from an outside perspective, but once you start playing it's a little bit different. So I don't know fully what raids are like here in other games of this similar fashion, although I'm hoping this one might also do something a little bit more unique than just copy what other games have, but I don't know, we'll see once we get that. So if some of these designs are completely wrong, just bear with me. Also, I will order these from what I think to be the least possible to most possible, and different factors such as like what I think would be the coolest, what kind of seems cool, what kind of fits with this game, what's actually kind of feasible, stuff such as that. So without further ado, let's go on to the first one we have. First one, I was thinking something kind of like this ghost ship. There aren't too many sets really for this, and all of them are really licensed. Like you have the Silent Anne pictured over there from Pirates of the Caribbean, so like technically a licensed theme, but there's technically sets out there for it, so you might could use some of the design. I don't know. My go-to idea for this was originally the Flying Dutchman. And I thought there was actually a Pirates of the Caribbean set for that, but looking it up, I couldn't really find anything for it. So maybe it was just an idea, I can't remember, but just something like that, kind of like a ghostly ship or haunted ship, something like that. If you're going to have like any enemies or any kind of like tags associated with it, you might throw in some interesting stuff with spooky. Sadly, that would just make the Ghostbusters super useful against it. But maybe later we can have some more anti-spooky stuff, so you might have some interesting things. You could have some skeleton spawns, I don't know, maybe a whole bunch of Yorks, I don't know, they do count as a sort of pirate unit, so possibly we could just have some other stuff. I'd say some ghosts would be really cool, but we sadly don't actually have ghosts. I don't know, zombies maybe a spooky girl, I don't know. If you want to have some like ads to the fight, I think it would be cool if every now and then you had some ads, something interesting to fight. And maybe something unique, maybe not. But I think something like this could be cool. Probably a lot of this would have to be fairly unique, because there's not too much to actually base this off of that's not licensed. I think the only other ghost ship I really can think of is the hit a Flying Dutchman SpongeBob set. And I think there was one from the Castle 2007 that had like the skeletons had a boat. But I'm personally kind of saving that maybe more for the actual castle raids. Just spoiler for whenever we come up to those. But that's why I have this kind of here at the bottom. Is I think this could be interesting to find some type of ghost ship, and you could do lots of interesting, unique things with it. Because like the ship could kind of almost even be alive at that point. But it seems one of the lesser feasible ones. Next one I have here is, and this would be also an introduction for the faction, would be the Islanders, because that's the only thing that I feel like is really missing from the Pirates line. That's the only thing that kind of hasn't been brought up here. We even got, I think it was called the Imperial Armada, where Valiant was from, for the more Spanish-style Imperials. But this is the only one we kind of don't have, and I think it could be kind of interesting maybe to even introduce them this way. Basically what the Tiki Golem is it was a special unit in the LEGO Battles game. The Islanders was like a sub-faction of the Pirates. You had a basic unit, a leader, and a special unit. In this case it was the Tiki Golem. I always thought it looked cool, and maybe you could have something kind of like that. The pick on the right is what build it was based off of. That was one of the I think island sets, and it had that kind of Tiki statue on it. And as you probably can tell, the build on the left is kind of based off of that. Maybe something interesting like that could be kind of a cool way to introduce the islanders. Maybe Pegleg has been going after too much treasure that belonged to the islanders or something, and they awaken this statue to come fight him. You might want to beef it up or something, but there's actually connection to some LEGO Legacy here. 2 bits of connection, one back to the set, one back to this game, and you can just kind of build upon it, a giant living statue Tiki thing that seems maybe raid boss worthy enough. You did it interesting, although I don't know, you might make it be multiples of them or something. Maybe the actual Tiki statues summoning these little mini Tiki guys or something. I don't know, I think that could be a cool way, but kind of put this a little bit low down because we don't actually have the islanders yet, so it'd be a little much maybe to introduce them and add in some of this other stuff, and it might not be well enough of a threat looking at it, but I think it could be a cool kind of boss idea. Next up we have what is to some probably going to be the most feasible thing as a raid boss for the pirate faction, but it's just pirate ships and also Imperial ships. But say be something like the Red Seas Barracuda? Red Barracuda? I can't remember what the actual name of the set is now off the top of my head. There's Pirates of the Barracuda Bay, I think. The new like expert creator set. I think it was like a 3-in-1 they just recently released. They had a shipwrecked boat that you could actually build into the boat. That's the picture on the left. I think that could be kind of cool with something maybe to kind of reference or something. And then the one on the right, I believe, was the Santa Cruz, which is actually Valiant's personal ship, which I think could be like an interesting idea. Maybe bring that in. Might could do like an Imperials as like the boss if you wanted to. Maybe tag some stuff with Justice, Imperials, all that kind of stuff. And it would actually relate to one of the characters we have now in the game, which I think would work out rather well. It might not be the most impressive 2 ships, but there's tons of ships in the Pirates line, so I won't have like 5,000 pictures on here. So I just chose these 2 for like the main representation. Maybe do some other ones, but probably one of the slightly bigger ones. There are lots of kind of little smaller ones made to actually have as a raid boss. But I think both of these could work well. But the one pirate ship I think that could work the best is this, the Imperial Flagship. This is from the Pirates 2009-2010 wave. I think it actually came out a year afterwards, maybe came 2010, 2011. It's kind of a surprise release, at least to me, because I thought that theme was kind of done. But this is the same theme, or sub-theme, if you will, that Governor Tyranny and his daughter came from. And I think the actual... I don't think his daughter was in this. I think this one was kind of weird because it looked like it had the governor in it, but I think it was the admiral now, who's not admiral now and such, was a different admiral. But he kind of looked the same, but his like epaulets were different, I think, or something. Maybe he had a daughter in a different dress. But something like this, it kind of relates back to some of the characters in the game. And you could just have this thing that's, I want to say, one of the biggest official LEGO pirate ships they have released. Maybe that one that came out this year might be a little bit bigger, but I think this is probably the biggest. I don't know, it looks the biggest to me. And you could have the Imperials, because the Imperials are already kind of an enemy in this game. You can have them show up on this if you want to have like any kind of like mini story with any of the raid fights. You could have non-such show up on this, maybe the governor, his daughter, Valiant, and LeQuay. Let's have them come up here, shoot stuff, you fight this, fight some Imperial stuff, I don't know, maybe have some Justice tags on some things. I think it could be kind of cool. Like, this would be very impressive if the game engine can handle it, because I know they said the fire station base thing for the Ghostbusters was too many bricks for the build thing to handle, but that was just the build thing, so maybe not as a boss. You might just see part of it, I don't know. But I think this would be the coolest of possibly all the pirate ships they have out, just due to its size and, I don't know, to me, its legacy. It stands out a lot. I never wound up getting this. I got the Brickbeard's Bounty instead, but this just was cooler and bigger, but I kind of wanted more of a pirate ship than this Imperial pirate ship. But this one I think would be a cool one if they could reference somehow in the game. It would make a really cool raid boss. But the one I would like the most is here next. This is not the most likely one. I actually think the pirate ship's probably a little bit more likely because, I mean, it fits in with a pirate theme. But something you had multiple times throughout the theme, or at least in some of the latest parts of the theme, you had some animals attacking. This set here in particular was the Kraken Attackin. Yes, it was attacking. A little bit weak Kraken. I'm pretty sure it's an octopus too. It does have 8 arms, though I do believe Redbeard could disarm it in a turn, even with all 8 arms. But something like this thing could be cool, but you know, you're gonna have to kind of beef it up. So I'll look through some of the other sea creatures LEGO has released that could possibly fit as a raid boss, and I found a couple of them. The one on the left, I believe, was the Tiger Shark Attack from Aqua Raiders, and the one on the right was the Shadow Snapper, which is kind of like a giant turtle type creature. I mean, it looks very turtle-y, but just it's a little bit cooler. I do always find the Atlantis creatures look almost a little bit robotic, or like ancient statue creature type thing. I don't know, it just didn't feel as much like a regular creature. But I think that one could be cool. It would definitely have lots of health and defense with how it's just a giant turtle, all that shell and spike. Then that one could work well. Might even work kind of coming onto land. Could just be a sea monster the pirates came across, or it could even be summoned by the islanders. I have thought about that. They might could use some of the islander magic stuff to summon some sea creatures to attack. The shark I think would be cool, and that was one of my favorite actual big sharks that LEGO has made. I think that one looked the best, and most like a real shark. The other one from Atlantis looked too almost like a robot, to me at least. So I think these two could be cool, but put them as lesser likely due to, I mean, like the shark, how you going to be fighting on land? I guess you could just fight it on land anyways, but the shark might kind of stand out a little bit too much. The turtle might could work, but it might not be interesting enough, not too piratey. So to move on to ones I find to be a little bit more likely, maybe not the most piratey, we have some crustaceans. We have on the left is the not turtle attack, the crab, I think it was called crab attack or crustacean attack, something like that. The one on the right is the lobster attack. Both these are from Aqua Raiders, and the one on the bottom in the middle was supposed to be a undersea scorpion from Atlantis. I don't know, I thought it looked creaturey enough. Could be a little bit different, could do some interesting things with it. It's kind of big, it might be kind of a threat. You could have all these kind of crawl onto land to attack, so it might can make a little bit more sense to battle. Yes, these are from other themes and they're not actually from pirates, but this is LEGO Legacy. You can kind of mix some of the stuff, and I do believe giant sea creatures fit rather well with pirates, even if these aren't from the same themes. And it's kind of be a cool way to maybe to work in some of these underwater themes, which I believe they said they want to maybe do next, or at least one of the head people was very interested in going underwater. Whether or not that is going to be next is up to be seen. But the personal ones I think look the best, and I think would make the coolest raid bosses, is these last ones, the Tentacles. Yes, it's some giant squids. We have the giant squid from the Aqua Raiders base on the left, and the squid from the Squid Temple, I think it was called, something like that, from Atlantis. I think both of these would work rather well. I do really like the kind of tentacle setup on the one on the right. It's a little bit more, I don't know, it looks a little bit more tentacle-y, and you could a little bit more move it. It looks a little bit more flexible than the one on the left, and has a rather good mouth, but the one on the left really stands out to me. As I said, I thought it was a very cool build. Cool glow-in-the-dark tips to the tentacles there. Actually has a skeleton inside of its transparent body. I think that would look kind of cool to see. I might even animate it doing something. Maybe the skeleton's actually controlling it. Could possibly put a pirate in there if you wanted to make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe a York if you wanted, or just leave it as the Aqua Raiders skeleton. Could make a cool little call out to something that might be coming later if they go underwater. It might actually be one of the basic skeleton designs is just a skeleton with that helmet on. I think these would work very well if you want to have like a custom map for it. Maybe it looks like actually on the deck of a pirate ship, and you might even have like the tentacles coming up, and you have to fight the different tentacles as like an enemy or something to kind of get through to actually get to the core of the squid that is attacking the ship or whatever. I do think the giant squids really fit with the pirate theme, even though they might not be from the pirate theme in particular. Though, as I said earlier, we do have that Kraken Attackin set, so it's not like this would be the first squid, air quotes there, that we have in the pirates theme that is attacking. It's just the first one. These are actually from the theme, and they're bigger, a little bit more impressive. And I think these would work possibly the best as a raid boss for pirates. Do something a little bit different besides just fighting some pirates or just a pirate ship that might be a little bit too expected. And here you could have some cool shout outs to some other bits of LEGO's legacy with some other themes here. So with that, this is it for my raid ideas for the Pirates faction. Stay tuned for the next one of these while we're going into a different faction, maybe even space, before they actually announce what they're going to be doing for space. So if you have enjoyed this video, feel free to leave any feedback below. I'm always happy to get feedback for these videos, what can make it better, what you liked, what you disliked, all that kind of stuff. And stay tuned for the next one of these. This is Bator Gripply. Goodbye and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.